Hey Aspire fam, I am here with Katrina and it's time to hear her Aspire story. So what made you choose Aspire?
Well, I was at a gym for almost 7 years at the same gym. He sold the gym, so I had to find a new gym. At first it was really, really devastating because I had formed such a family. I'd been there for 7 years. Yeah, so it was really hard. And then I was just looking up gyms just to try out for the week. And this was actually the first place that I came in.
Oh, really?
Try. Yeah, it was like literally the first place I came.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it was the first place I came, but I feel like I've gone to some gyms in the past before I went to my old gym where I walk in and I feel like I definitely get a certain vibe when I walk in a gym, whether it's a welcoming, warm vibe, whether it's kind of people kind of sectioned off to themselves, but I just got this warm, like inviting feeling the minute I came.
From the coaches, from everybody that
the minute I came in. Yeah, I met Jerry that day for the first time.
Yeah.
Like I immediately just got this feeling like, okay, I can see myself here with these group of people. So,
that's awesome. And I know you kind of joined originally. I remember one of our first conversations was that you wanted to be a more competitive athlete. What's kind of your athletic background?
So I've been a dancer since kindergarten. So my first recital was at the age of 6, and I'd been dancing all the way through college. Actually have my college degree in dance from FIU.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I've been dancing.
Is that a specific type of dance, or
well,
dance?
I've done all kinds of dance, so ballet, tap, jazz, lyrical.
Okay.
When I went to college, I was really into modern technique. So I got my degree in dance with a focus in education. So I've been dancing my whole life, but I've never had a sports background of any kind of sorts.
Okay.
So I think as a dancer, I've always really loved movement and studying movement and learning movement, and I think that kind of carried over when I found fitness, which I actually started in figure competing before I even found CrossFit, like almost 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
So.
And I know one of the reasons I love CrossFit versus just...
And I just love to learn. I feel like I'm such a learner. Like if I could like be a lifelong, like one of those people like, oh, if I could go back to school and just be a student for like, I just love learning. Yeah, I would just.
And I think that's something I always say, like the beauty and the curse of what we do here. And I think a lot CrossFit in general and fitness in general is that like the beauty and the curse is as soon as like you become pretty good at something, there's always more to master.
And that's what I love, and that's what
which is
drives
great,
me,
but also sucks too. Like, great, you're now good at this. Well, you totally are not good at all these other things.
20 other things.
Yeah. Or like, great, like now do it heavier.
Yeah.
Or now do it faster. Or now do it for longer.
Yeah.
And it's a beauty and a curse, but it keeps me coming back.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing that, I mean, I feel like in CrossFit, especially when you're trying to be competitive, and you're trying to get to this level of, you know, whatever that next level of competitiveness is for you, there's like, I read this post one time, like 40% of your days are okay, 20%, like, so there's always going to be that mostly 20-40% range that you do a workout and it was okay or it was horrible.
Yeah. Like
the home runs are going to come very rarely.
Yeah.
And on top of that, plus also having to learn new things all the time, I see that advantage of like being able to learn new things is something that drives me instead of discourages me, because it can get very discouraging when you're so focused on this one goal, and you feel like you should be crushing it, which I've gone through all the time, but that's just not the reality of.
Do you think kind of your background in dance helps you with that a little bit? Helps you with that humility of, you know, failing and failing and failing until you succeed, because that probably was a lot of your life, right? Like,
and I think just
like learning new
discipline
things
in general.
Yeah.
I think dance taught me so much about discipline. Just, I mean, when I was at a studio, I was going to school, I was like in middle school, and from school I would go to the dance studio. I'd have to get there, start my homework, then I'd have class, and I'd like leave there at like 8 o'clock, have to go home. Like, so it was a very like, I was used to like structure and schedule and discipline of sticking to something and working at something, and I think that's definitely carried over.
Do you think
and learning, the love of learning.
And learning too, yeah. Do you think like those things are what kind of drew you to CrossFit a little more so than just a traditional gym, because it had that structure, it had that ability to learn, and it had those kind of goals along the way?
It's funny because I always wonder like what made me
Yeah.
what happened that I like did one class and I was like, oh, I got to go back and like conquer this thing. I think it definitely was the first gym before my old gym that I was at 7 years, I actually went to another gym before that, but I wasn't there for that long because I was there for about 3 months, and then I started having some hip issues, like hip flexor, hip region issues. And I actually went to the doctor and I found out that I had a slight tear in my labrum in my hip. So I kind of stopped for a bit and I thought maybe I can't lift and do CrossFit. I know it was one of those things where I just
maybe it's just isn't for me.
And so when I went back, I don't know what it was when I went back that made me like, I don't know, I think I've always watched people. Like when I went to that gym, I remember a funny story. The first gym I ever went to years and years ago, I went to a 5:30 class. It was super dark outside. I drive to this warehouse. I'm like, nobody here. Like, what is this? I started in the warehouse. I go in, and there was a coach there. His name was Greg, and he was a big guy, and he was just snatching like in this dimly lit just like a lot of weight, just like by the garage door, just like And I don't know, like from that moment I saw him like displaying this like physical like strength. Something in my brain maybe just was like, not maybe that weight, but oh man, I want to lift like that, or I want to do that. So maybe I saw people doing these amazing things at first, and I was like, like I would really like to do that or learn how to do that, or I think I could do that. So.
And then it goes back to your desire to just keep learning. Like that's something you had no idea.
Yeah, how would I ever?
How could you possibly get that much weight overhead?
Like how can I?
I need to figure that out. Yeah. That's cool.
And I think that's what still drives me, because I see that. I see all these masters athletes, and even in like the 50 plus, and I'm just like so amazed by what they do. And I'm thinking in my head, you know, sometimes I think when you're trying to be a competitive athlete and you see elite level athletes, you kind of put them on this pedestal like, I don't even know if I'll ever be able to do that, but I want to try. So I always think I've been driven by inspiration from other people and what can be achieved by other people around.
Well, and I think personally, and maybe you can relate, that's also why I love like the sport of CrossFit so much, is because it's the only sport or the only thing where we can look at like the professionals in that sport or on TV or YouTube or whatever it is. And we might not be able to do that exactly, but we can do it to an extent. We can do these same workouts, maybe we just modify it. We can do these same lifts, maybe it's just not as heavy. Versus like, I can't watch football and be like, oh yeah, I can do that. Like there's
you don't watch football. We're gonna go play some intense football.
Yeah, like I'm not just gonna pick up and throw a 40-yard touchdown pass. But I can snatch and do pull-ups.
And there's really no limit. I mean, I'm a big believer. Like, I really try like not to put limits on what's possible for myself. Like, I feel like in the end, I'm the only one that's gonna tell myself I can't do something. Like, there's nothing that prevents me from getting there or accomplishing that. Like, it's gonna be mostly me that puts myself in my own way and stops me from.
Are you willing to put the effort into learning or training or whatever it might be? And with that, I know you've been with us for a little while now. Like, is there anything on the top of your head that you really feel like proud of in terms of an accomplishment or something you've achieved since you've been with us?
So I would say since the last Open, so I came here with the goal of making quarterfinals from the Open this year. And I technically, when I was in my last gym, I would have made it under the new requirements when I was there last year. So this year it's funny because I think I talked to you and I told you my goal and I was kind of like, well, I made it last year. So technically I probably make quarterfinals again this year. I kind of wrote on like what I'd done in the past. And the Open came and the first workout was all engine and totally basically destroyed me and just left me in like a puddle. Like what happened? Like and I was dealing with a foot thing, and then the next workout was double unders. I was dealing with my foot, so it just didn't go the way I had maybe envisioned it going. So I was really, really disheartened. I looked at my placement, and then I mistakenly looked up where I was last year, and I was like, how did I fall behind so much?
Yeah.
And it's actually funny because my husband, I was so like, just, you know, in your own feelings, like, oh, poor me, like I did so bad. And he was like, well, instead of like wallowing, like think of the solution. Like, what's the solution? What can you do to not let that happen again?
Yeah.
And for some reason, a light bulb went off. And I thought about all the things outside of the gym that I wasn't doing that maybe could have helped me. And my nutrition and my outside, like my eating habits were huge.
Yeah.
So I think I'm most proud of the ability from that moment not to let that defeat me, but to use that to make a game plan for the next year, which I've successfully.
And since that, you've dropped a ton of body fat percent.
30 pounds and 5% body fat.
5%? I thought you said it was like 20% body fat.
Well, I'm at 20% now. I was around 25%,
okay, gotcha.
pushing 26.
Yeah, so 30 pounds down, 5 full percent down, and really not much has changed in your training.
No.
A little bit, but.
I mean, I did. So Jerry does my programming, and so funny. While being in my feelings, I sat down with Jerry, and I was like, Jerry, this did not go how I thought it did.
Yeah.
So we need to. The game plan obviously needs to change, and I need to focus on things that, you know, and number one was my just overall fitness and conditioning level was not there. My strength was there, my skill may be there, but I just didn't have the
endurance.
I just didn't have the fitness really to even merit getting to the heavier weight or the higher skill. I just needed a bigger base of fitness. So I'd sit down with Jerry and we talked about, okay, this is going to be 10 weeks of just conditioning. Everything you don't want to do. Echo bike sprints, burpees over a bar, snatching to burpees, you know, all those things, 5,000 meter rows that you don't do that you need to do.
And so what's the goal right now? I know you're training for an event, and what's that?
So I'm actually going to be doing the Masters Division Tampa Bay Games in 3 weeks in Tampa.
Awesome.
Yeah, one-day comp. So.
And
in the 40 to 44 Masters.
Is there a particular goal for it? Is it just get out there and compete and see how well you can do?
So I've never, in all my years of CrossFit, done an individual comp. I've always done teams of 3 or another teammate.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time I've ever been on the floor out by myself. I think for me, it's just going to be a learning experience. I honestly don't have any placement goals as far as like where I want to be. I mean, I have goals as far as the effort. I don't want to do an event and feel like I had more left to give. I think that's my number one goal.
Yeah.
Like I went out there, I attacked it, I gave everything I had in that time period, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
But then also just more about learning about myself as an athlete, because I feel like people say this all the time, but you can train all you want, but until you're out there with other people, trying to stay in your own race,
exactly,
like
sticking to your game plan.
your game plan, then you don't really know. So this for me is learning what that is for me.
That's great. And I know in the last few weeks, right, maybe even few months, you've started to split your sessions up. So rather than doing, you know, you're here obviously a lot, which is great because you're doing you're doing more work than just our class. But you always do our class, and then you always did extra work. And recently you split that up between you know, doing our 5:30 a.m. class in the morning and then coming back in the afternoon and doing some extra work. How have you felt like that's helped you improve more, having that break in between?
Definitely. I feel like I was trying to do that all in one period.
One big block. Yeah.
And like I couldn't really give fully to every piece because I was trying to split myself between all these different pieces. So it's definitely totally different. And plus I realized I'm not a morning person. I was never like one, which is also crazy. Now I'm like,
you're not a morning person yet. You're the first person here every morning.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I didn't consider myself more. But now I really do love just getting up and moving and doing something like intense early in the morning now. I like, it's kind of like I want that first thing.
And now, when you kind of made that transition, was it hard to get up in the morning? Or were you kind of like, alarm goes off and you just get right out of bed?
In the beginning, but I'd say like I adjusted pretty quickly. The biggest thing for me was trying to lift this early, heavy. Like a lot, like, yeah, that was, but I feel like it's so crazy because now my body is like adjusted in a couple weeks. Now I don't have that. Plus, again, like I've taken ownership of that, and now I do go WOD every morning at least 15 minutes before class. Okay. So I've taken that extra responsibility, like to make myself ready and mobile before
the workout. Class. Yeah, cool. So. And I think one of the last things I'll hit, one of the things you mentioned earlier, when you first walked in, you felt welcomed by the community. How would you kind of describe, the community here and how they've supported you in your journey? It's kind of gonna
get emotional. What's that?
That's okay.
Oh no. Gosh. I think the biggest thing, for me, CrossFit is so much community in general. Like, I just really love not only me succeeding, but watching other people succeed in my class or do something for the first time or crush a weight. Like, I really like that, So just having the support of other people, but also seeing people support you. But I have so many people here, I feel like, that support me in this big crazy goal. And yeah, there's a lot of people that just mean, I don't think they know how much they've influenced me and keep me going and support me. But yeah, there's a lot of people that...
You should make sure they know.
I should, yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, doing these alone have helped me a lot. Like on the hard days that I have, or the days that I don't want to put as much effort into something that I should, or even today, I like to film videos for our coaches of the movements we're doing, but have it be me rather than just search on YouTube. And I was like pasting, and I was like, I don't feel like filming this today. And I was like, no, they like it when I do it better versus like just finding someone. So like I got to go that extra mile.
Yeah,
but doing so these alone,
having people believe in you.
Yeah, but doing these alone have helped me because I get to sit here with you and listen to it, and like you're the reason I do this. Hearing your story and whatnot. And so I'd recommend telling those people because you never know what that might mean to them.
Yeah.
And help them stay inspired or help them through something that's challenging currently in their life, and let them know what they mean to you. Yeah.
Oh, you make me emotional.
Because
I don't think people realize. I mean, I hear it all the time, and other people talk about it. My community, or I couldn't have done this without a group of people that pushed me. Like I needed people with me in the journey. But yeah, I've realized now here how much that is true.
Because if you heard what they all say about you too, that would make you feel even more inspired if they shared it with you. Because they share it with me. But just the little tidbits of how they love having you now at 5:30 a.m. or people love seeing you here in the afternoon, put in that extra work after you've already been here this morning. And it makes them do, all right, well, I should do my shoulder exercises. Like Katrina's been here for 45 minutes already, like doing extra work after she's already done her workout. I can spend 10 minutes on my shoulder exercises or whatever it is.
And honestly, if that's, I guess that's also one of my goals in being competitive and getting to that next level, is to have the opportunity to influence more people and show more people what's possible.
And you already are, just by walking what you say, and what is it, walking the talk, or walking the talk, whatever it is.
Whatever that saying is.
Leading by example. You lead by example by just showing how hard you work, and everybody sees that. And I think as much as we help you, you help everybody here too, and you inspire everybody here, and you're, cheering for them without, even knowing it, because you're just working hard every day. We appreciate it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else you want to talk about, or anything else you want to share?
I guess I need to specifically tell those people what they need, but I think everybody just needs people behind them, and
they do, and I think that's...
And this is, I don't know, I feel like that's what community and CrossFit is all about. Like you said, we're all doing the same thing with different levels, intensities.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so cool, because we can all be in that place together and support each other. So.
Yeah, it's like
I think that's why I
think
genuinely love
when you sweat with somebody
CrossFit.
next to them, it puts your like relationship on a whole nother level. Like you're not just friends. Like you went through something together that was really hard. That kind of took your friendship or that acquaintanceship, whatever it is, to that next level.
And I think honestly, it's the only place where we come in and there's no, I don't know, everybody. You just become this one community. There's no labels. There's no I'm this, she's that. Like it's just, we're all the same. We're all trying to be better. And
we all have to do 150 wall balls together.
Yeah, because somebody programmed. I'm just kidding. 150 wall balls.
Don't worry, you had to do 15 toes to bar every break. You had a break.
That was good for me though. It helped me practice my.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why I got better. But yeah.
Cool. Well, we appreciate you being such a leader here and sharing your story. And thank you so much for being part of our Aspire fam.
Thank you.
Awesome.